We hit the court at break of dawn. Purple gold, we step it strong. Running plays like fire sparks. Every game a work of art. Staples Center lights up bright. Laker legends in the night. Crowd goes wild, the beat drops hard. We own this game, we set the bar. Lakers Digest on the rise. Through ups and downs, we light the skies. Big beat drop as we take flight. From the paint to the spotlight.
With the trade deadline just an hour away, reports have come out the Lakers are not done making moves. They've already traded for Luka Doncic. They've traded for some incredible players. And now, following the Mark Williams trade, we are looking at more moves happening. Hunter, it's going to be a wild next hour. We're going to remain live for the entirety of it until the trade deadline happens. It's going to be very, very interesting. And we're finally here. We're an hour away from the deadline. And things are getting a little bit crazy.
Yeah, I think we all expected maybe a handful of days ago the Lakers were going to be very active and trying to make last-second moves before the NBA trade deadline concludes, like many teams around the NBA. But I don't think we expected this type of trade deadline where they land arguably the best player in the entire NBA, as well as a future franchise center, and of course move their own future big in Anthony Davis. So it's definitely been a lot. Again, guys, there's not a lot of time left, but that doesn't mean a lot of moves can happen. So if you want to stick around, if anything crazy happens to the Lakers or any other team in the NBA, we will keep you up to date with everything here. So I'm excited, Nick. This is a fun opportunity we got.
I mean, the Lakers were talking about trading for Jalen Duren before the Mark Williams trade. They were talking about trading for a bunch of players. And now we can dive into a couple of the reports here. Just 27 minutes ago, Windhorst says the Lakers are not done yet. So that's two reports, as well as Anthony Irwin. He also says that the Lakers are active in making a trade. So I want to ask you in the chat as well here, what type of trade do you think the Lakers are currently targeting? We've been talking about, big men for so long now. I could see them looking to acquire a 3-and-D wing, specifically a defensive-minded wing, I think is something that the Lakers desperately need, especially following the fact that they're obviously, they got rid of their best 3-and-D player, arguably, in Max Christie. If they're active in making a trade now, it's going to be very interesting to see what exactly that trade is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess the pre-trade deadline move that the Lakers made was Dorian Finney-Smith back in late December. So they do have a guy there, but again, when you build a team around Luka Doncic, which clearly is what the Lakers are doing right now. I mean, they literally sat down with Luka, Rob Pelinka, JJ Redick, and the front office were like, all right, what are the type of players that you want to play with? And one player or type of player he said he wanted to play with was a guy like a Daniel Gafford, or a guy like a Derek Lively, a rim protector, a guy who can catch lobs, finish at the basket, and give Luka that option in a two-man pick-and-roll game. So they go get a guy in Mark Williams. He's played with Dorian Finney-Smith before. Those are the type of players Luka likes to play with, are 3-and-D guys and lob threat big men. So it would not be a shock at all if they try to get another big man like that, or like you're saying, Nick, a type of 3-and-D player to just be an extra complement to what Luka Doncic is very comfortable with playing with. And I guess also too, Nick, not to springboard too much here, but after these moves that the Lakers have been making, like, it's not crazy to think now that this is just a wash season. Like, now it's like, okay, like the Lakers can legitimately contend now in the West with the moves they're making.
Yeah, this is like, they kind of transitioned. Not only are they set for the future, they're set for this season as well. They're going to be making hopefully a push for an NBA championship this year. I see some people in the chat saying 3-and-D wing, 3-and-D two guard with athleticism. And we just saw Cody Martin get traded. We saw a couple of the, Lakers targets ultimately get moved. And as the deadline slowly creeps in closer and closer, it's going to be extremely, extremely interesting. Again, we're now about 55 minutes away, and we obviously, as soon as a move drops, we'll keep you up to date on it. But again, Brian Windhorst is saying the Lakers are probably not done. And I also wonder now if they're looking to replace their backup big man in Jackson Hayes and let him go back to kind of the third string big man. I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on that, Hunter, because at this point in time, I don't mind Jackson Hayes as a backup big, but the way Rob Pelinka has been moving this offseason or this trade deadline, I could see him making another move.
Well, I think the one thing we've learned with all these crazy trades is that no one is safe right now. I mean, if we've learned anything, is that there's not a single player who's safe in the NBA, and clearly not a single player that's safe on the Lakers rosters. They've moved a lot of guys who I don't think were necessarily viewed as potential trade candidates for the Los Angeles Lakers. So I guess in terms of ideally, should the Lakers get another big? I would say yes. I think Jackson Hayes does fit the prototype that Luka likes to play with. But with that being said, though, too, I just don't think Jackson Hayes is like a particularly great basketball player. And so if you can get an upgrade for him, I definitely think that's something you look into. Now, the Lakers, they don't have as many assets as they did even a few days ago, but they still do have a second round pick this year. They still have a movable contract like a Maxi Kleba. They still have, a movable contract in Rui Hachimura and Gabe Vincent. I know it seems less likely those two guys get moved, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. So I guess it also depends. What is Rob Pelinka prioritizing right now? Because I don't know if they can get two more players. They're probably going to have to, if they're going to make a trade, either get another big man to be the backup to Mark Williams, or you get a 3-and-D type of player, whether it be more of a 3-and-D guard or a 3-and-D wing.
Yeah. And I'm seeing some people in chat. Luka and Maxi are safe. LeBron to Boston. Lakers do have an open roster spot, and that's going to be the big talk now once the deadline ends, obviously, assuming that they make another move. I want people to type in the chat. I mean, I think we all know the answer to this. What grade would you give the Lakers this trade deadline? You can go from an F to an A+ to as high as you want to go. I mean, I think the Mark Williams trade put it. I mean, it was already A+. You got Luka Doncic, but like that Mark Williams trade. And someone asked if they think we overpaid for Mark Williams. I'll get your thoughts on this, Hunter. I think realistically it was a good trade for both teams. I think the Hornets got great value from it. I think that the Lakers got great value from it. I don't think we overpaid. And to be honest, even if the Lakers did overpay in the eyes of some, they underpaid so heavily for Luka Doncic that they're now able to kind of use those assets that probably should have gone to Luka in a Luka trade, and then now just get shifted over to Mark Williams in the Mark Williams trade. I mean, it's they were able to do some things there, some A+, some B+. I mean, if this isn't an A+ trade deadline, it's hard to imagine what Rob Pelinka could have done better in my mind. And we still have about 50 minutes until the deadline.
Yeah, and I keep saying this to you guys, but if you want to talk about the pre-deadline, like they also did get Dorian Finney-Smith
That as well. That includes it.
To me, I count that as a part of it. I know it's not at the deadline, it's not February, but I do count that as an acquisition that the Lakers have made this season. So we entered this trade deadline or this season being like, what do the Lakers need? They need another big man who can protect the rim and hypothetically play alongside Anthony Davis, although that's not the case anymore. They needed a 3-and-D guy who has size and versatility defensively, and they needed a defensive-minded guard. So they got two of those things, but instead of getting a defensive-minded guard, they got Luka Doncic. So I think that definitely just checked the box, Nick. Okay, maybe he's not a good defender, but he does everything on offense as well as, some of the best in NBA history do. And, he's only 25 years old. So I have a hard time not thinking this is an A+ grade for the Lakers. And we're not just saying that because we're on Lakers Digest. Like, we call out the BS when we see it, but I think you could not ask for anything better than what the Lakers did at the deadline. And on top of that, too, in terms of the overpay for Mark Williams, it was a lot to give up for him. I know there's concerns of the fact that he's missed a lot of time. He had a back injury earlier in his career. Also was recovering from a fracture in, I believe, his left foot. But the Lakers medical staff is saying that they don't think these are issues. Mark Williams has been playing, so it's not like even Luka Doncic, who's been out the last several games. Like Mark Williams has been playing, and if you look at not just even like what he's averaging this season, but you look at how he's been playing since late December when they ramped up his minutes again, like the man has been having like 30-15 games, like 20-15 games, and he's a great rim protector. He might be, as tall as 7'2". He has believe it or not, guys, a longer standing reach.
9'9".
Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama's at 9'7", and Mark Williams is at 9'9". Measured at the combine. I know Wemby wasn't at the combine, but Mark Williams was. We know for a fact that is what his is. So regardless, this is a legitimate rim protector with athleticism and a lot of upside. And despite the fact that Dalton Knecht's a rookie, he's actually younger than Dalton Knecht too. So you get a player that fits, who's younger. And yes, they gave up a lot to get him, but they also you have to give up something to get something good in return. And that's what the Lakers did and getting Mark Williams, who projects to be your future center for years to come with Luka.
Yeah, and also regarding Mark Williams, and again, we have Shams up, so the moment anything drops, we'll keep you up to date. Also, hit the like button on the stream. Let's try to get to 100 likes in here. But Mark Williams is familiar playing with LaMelo Ball, and there is some similarities between LaMelo Ball and Luka Doncic's game, especially when it comes to how Mark Williams is going to play in the pick and roll, how he's going to, really work with. I mean, he's going to work with Luka phenomenally. I see some people in the chat saying that he's going to, with Luka, he could probably average 20 and 10. If his minutes increase a little bit and he remains healthy, it's very easy to see Mark Williams averaging 20 and 10. And there's been some concerns, some people saying he's not great defensively. I think if you watch the tape, he's very capable defensively. He has been a very solid shot blocker. He's agile. He's not going to be Anthony Davis, but he's going to be absolutely, it's a perfect center for this team. And not only for this year, but not in the future as well. And regarding the trades they can make now regarding, to help, I think you give another thing that's kind of lost in this. I think with Mark Williams' injury concerns, I think that increases the need for a backup center a bit more, because obviously Jackson Hayes is a little bit scary. If you want to give Mark Williams, especially for the rest of this season, let's say 20, 25 minutes a game and manage his minutes, you probably need a better, more reliable backup center than Jackson Hayes, at least if you want to compete for a championship. And that is my thought on it. I also think JJ Redick's going to elevate Mark Williams' game defensively as well, like he has for a couple of the players here. But I think your need for a backup big, and I think as we count down now to the deadline, both those things are going to be very prominent here. And Torrey Craig's another guy that we'll probably have a video on, but he's a buyout candidate as well. So it's something to keep an eye on, is a backup big because of his injury concerns, Mark Williams, that is.
Yeah, it's actually interesting you bring up that point with JJ Redick, because JJ is actually very, very close with Mark Williams, because he almost was a bit of a mentor to him at Duke, because both of them are Duke alums at this point. And on top of that too, I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure Mark Williams was ACC Defensive Player of the Year when he was at Duke. The dude plays good defense. Like, the reason why he might not look fantastic defensively in Charlotte is because they're the Charlotte Hornets, right? Like, this is a team right now. It's very hard to be bought into a team that is that bad. And so if there are effort concerns and things like that, I don't buy that. Mark Williams can play winning basketball.
100%.
Duke was a Final Four team when he was there. And he went from his freshman year. I also am a Duke fan, guys, so I do know this pretty well. But freshman year, it was probably one of the worst seasons Duke had in a very long time. It was coming off a COVID year. A lot of players were transferring out, leaving. Mark Williams, who could have been a first-round pick, stayed because he wanted to change the culture of the team. His sister also is a Duke legend, too, for the women's basketball team. He stayed. They ended up making a Final Four run. He also played next to a very versatile big man in Paolo Banchero, who we all know is one of the best young players in the NBA. And someone who has a lot of that similar size and skill set is LeBron James. So, and that's someone he played really well in a 4-5, pick and roll lob situation too. Because let's not forget, like, we talk about how great of a passer Luka Doncic is. Well, LeBron James, that's the thing to say or two about that too. And Austin Reeves is a phenomenal pick and roll player too. So they have 3 guys now that can initiate the offense compared to 2. I think this is going to open up a lot for Mark Williams' game. I think offensively too, we didn't fully see it in Charlotte, but he has a little bit of a mid-range shot as well. He's got some post moves to him. He's not just like a stick in the mud who just catches lobs and, gets second chance opportunities. Like, this is a guy who is not Anthony Davis, right? Like, the Lakers were not going to get somebody, guys, who is of Anthony Davis's caliber defensively. To me, Anthony Davis is arguably the best defensive player in the league. I think it's a sham that he does not have a Defensive Player of the Year award in his career. Because Rudy Gobert decided that the media was just going to give him all the awards for some reason, although he can't guard anybody when it matters most. But I rest my case. But Mark Williams, guys, he's also very agile. Definitely is not like an Anthony Davis level agility, but he is someone who I feel more confident in switching on the smaller players than other bigs do in this NBA. So he is, in short terms here, he is a perfect fit next to Luka Doncic, and what him and JJ Redick want to do with that big man position moving forward post AD.
Yeah. And I think he's going to get better. I mean, he's super young. And not only is he going to get better, I think with Luka Doncic, LeBron's a good point as well. I mean, LeBron's going to elevate his game. You have mentorship, obviously different positions, but I mean, LeBron is LeBron. And regarding who the Lakers can trade now, I put this on the screen while you were talking. We assume they're going to keep Rui and Gabe Vincent. That's going to be probably, they're going to use those in the rotation, whether it be starting rotation or backup big man. However, regarding trades in the next 45 minutes. Maxi Kleber is the name that I think is almost inevitably going to get traded if a deal gets done. You also have Christian Wood, you have your 2025 second, and you have some pick swaps. Now, I don't think the Lakers are in a position to make a huge splash involving a ton of pick swaps. However, I do think they're in a position to trade Maxi Kleber. Now, we're talking about guys. I know I made a video on Bruce Brown, and people were saying you can't buy him out. You can if you trade, or if you cut Maxi Kleber to get under the thing there. There is a way where you can get Bruce Brown. I don't think it's going to happen. Torrey Craig, it's a guy you've been kind of mentioning a little bit here. I think Torrey Craig would make some sense. And I still do think there's a world where they do acquire Bruce Brown if things fall their way and they make the salary work with that. But I want to ask the chat as well as you, Hunter, name the one player, if there's one player out of the remaining guys that you would want the Lakers to acquire in the next 45 minutes, who would it be? Now, realistic, of course. No Miles Turner, no crazy players like that. But type in the chat, who is the one guy you would want that's realistic? I think for me at this point, it's either a wing defender, I'm not going to say Torrey Craig. Daron Sharp, I still think, if he's attainable, would be fantastic off the bench. We know the Nets are shopping him. I mean, the Cavs just got DeAndre Hunter for multiple second-round picks, so which is kind of crazy. What is the one player that you would like to see a Laker by the end of this 45-minute deadline?
Realistically, I mean, the Lakers hypothetically could make a Bruce Brown trade happen.
Yes.
A lot would have to go right, though.
Correct.
That's the thing. I mean, Rob Pelinka has kind of been working his magic recently, so I'm not ruling anything off the table, but it would have to be a lot of moving parts. They probably would have to trade, Rui Hachimura or Gabe Vincent. I'd assume it might be Gabe they would prefer to trade, just because Bruce Brown would be the replacement to him more so than Rui Hachimura. And then you'd have to include Kleber. The thing with Maxi Kleber, which makes it a little interesting to trade, and this is the same also with a guy like Shake Milton or even Markieff Morris, is that since the Lakers just got these guys, they can only get traded for a 1-for-1. So you'd have to get a third team involved, and the Lakers would have to send out Gabe Vincent, let's just throw him out there, as well as Maxi Kleber, but they can't go to the same team. It'd have to be some sort of 3-team deal that would have to facilitate that. The Lakers also, since they are first apron salary cap team, they also would need to give up more salary than they're getting back in return. So it's possible for Bruce Brown. A lot of magic has to happen. The pick swaps, I think, would have to be included. They'd have to include their second-round pick and basically offload all their draft capital in order to bring in Bruce Brown, who it's not even a guarantee he'll be back next season. They'd have to also, maybe some tampering would have to happen. Be like, hey, do you want to resign here? In the offseason. So that would probably be the case too. But I think Daron Sharp makes a lot of sense. We've made videos on him. I think a second-round pick this year, and as well as maybe some pick swaps to Brooklyn. That might get them, because he's also a restricted free agent. They have Nick Claxton, who I think is out of the Lakers price range now.
No way.
And as well as Noah Clowney, who they really like. So he's kind of your third big. I wouldn't rule out Robert Williams either, from Portland. I know they were asking for a first-round pick. They're not going to get that from any team in the NBA. But I feel much more confident as Robert Williams as your second big man compared to your starter, because I just don't really think he's a starting caliber big. But he does fit that defensive versatility, great rim protector, and a really good lob finisher too that Luka likes to play with. In terms of wings, the market is, to quote Rob Pelinka, a little dry right now. I'm not really sure. That might have to be a buyout thing. We've made videos on Torrey Craig. If you guys want us to go more into depth about Torrey Craig, we will more than happy make more videos. And there's other guys too that you guys want us to talk about. Like, we'd be more than happy to make videos. We'll talk about if they make sense for the Lakers, how they can make it happen, buyout candidates and stuff like that. And because now the Lakers have an open roster spot, so they can get somebody if it fits within the price range. So we'd be more than happy, to hear your guys' feedback on that too, if you want us to talk more about certain players. But I think at the end of the day, the Lakers are not done making moves. I think if they don't make a trade, they will sign somebody or both. Like, something is going to happen, guys. So we obviously we'll see if it happens within these next 40 minutes.
Yeah, someone asked when the deadline is. In 40 minutes. So at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific time, that is when the deadline is set. Now, we've seen this for years. Once the 3 p.m. or I guess 12, depending on what time zone you're going to say, 12 p.m. I'm assuming most of you guys are Pacific time. Once 12 p.m. gets hit, trades trickle in after. So we'll be alive a little bit after until it's quiet, until reports. Usually you hear the Lakers are done trades, according to whoever your Lakers reporter is. But I'm seeing some people in the chat. Some people are saying a bunch of different, players. You mentioned obviously Torrey Craig. He makes sense. Dennis Schroeder was a name. I don't think they go after. I don't think they go after him.
You
The-
can't.
yeah, the salary, the way that all the you can't go after. Actually, yeah, they physically can't go after Dennis Schroeder given their salary. So I mean, you can't go after Dennis Schroeder. Also, I don't love the fit. Something that is interesting now is when you think about the Lakers bench. Do you think their need for perimeter shooting is increased a little bit now that Max Christie's gone, that Dalton Knecht is gone? You still have some players on the bench that can shoot the ball, but I think they may be looking in the buyout market specifically, like you mentioned, a 3-and-D guy, but someone who can shoot the ball to help spread the floor a little bit.
Yeah, I always say you can never have too much shooting on a team. Personally, I think in today's NBA, with how you can win or lose a game with the 3-point line. I mean, look at the Boston Celtics; they literally have built their team around perimeter 3-point shooting. Ooh, we do have a trade here,
Okay.
actually. Not the Lakers, but maybe there's some implications. Shams just tweeted out, guys, the Clippers are trading Terrence Mann and Bones Highland to the Hawks for Bogdan Bogdanovic and 3 second-round picks.
We do have a trade. I'll get that on the screen now. Good call. You're the Woj here. All right, let me throw this
Like
here.
I said, guys, we'll keep you up to date. Here we go. This
All right,
is
I'm just going to
exactly
drag on the screen like this for now. I know it's not as clean, but it's good enough. All right, so you can see the deal there. Yeah, you mentioned it. Clippers are trading Terrence Mann and Bones for a lot of second-round picks, and Bogdan we knew was going to be gone. So, that would have been an interesting fit for the Lakers. Obviously, it wouldn't have worked out. The Lakers do not have the second-round pick capital, but now that is 2 trades in the last 30-ish minutes that involve second-round picks, a plethora of them
To the
being
Hawks.
gone. The first one, yeah, exactly, to the Hawks. Hawks are stacking up on seconds, no firsts. That's 7 second-round picks they've just acquired between DeAndre Hunter and now Bogdan, are now trading, of course, their other guys as well. So, very interesting. This is interesting.
Yeah, and I was looking at the contract, guys, just to see where Terrence Mann's contract is, because I think that would actually be a perfect fit for the
Yeah.
Lakers. He's under contract for a while, so this is probably someone that the Hawks will maybe hold on to, or they'll look to maybe move him sometime in the offseason. But that is the type of player, guys, that I think the Lakers should target, whether it's a trade or the buyout market, is a 3-and-D guy like a Terrence Mann, even someone who is a little bit better defensively as well. Because I get the bring off your point, Nick, with the shooting again.
It's a good deal for the Clippers, by the way. That's a good deal I like it for the Clippers.
I do too. They definitely could use a playmaker. And watching that Clippers game, I mean, I know the Lakers destroyed them, but I remember watching that game and just thinking, like, Kawhi Leonard's playing. Like, I actually forgot he was playing. It's pretty sad, like, how he looks at this point of his career. So that means they need a lot of guys that can really score the ball. And Bogdan Bogdanovic does, in fact, do that for the Clippers. So I don't mind them giving up 3 seconds. But, of course, guys, I think you want us to talk about the Lakers. We don't want to talk about the stupid Clippers here. So I do think that the Lakers, targeting a 3-and-D guy is definitely something that they could use, because especially with Luka Doncic, those are the guys he likes. And I truly do believe you can never have too many of those guys on a team.
Yeah, I completely agree. And yeah, so the Hawks, just the last thing to wrap up this trade, the Clippers get 3 seconds and Bogdan, and the Hawks get Terrence Mann and Bones Highland. Yeah, I was reading it. Interesting
That's
as well.
a steal. Oh my
So
God.
the Clippers get, and obviously they gave up some young assets there. So yeah, the Clippers do actually get, just confirmed here, 3 second-round picks in this deal, which is very interesting. But regarding the market here, I agree with you. I like the deal for, honestly, interesting. Regarding the Lakers, like you've been mentioning, I'm gonna keep this up for people who are still in here, but regarding what their assets are that is remaining, and we keep talking about it, like their clearly second-round picks are fairly valuable. However, 2025. I mean, we have Luka Doncic now. So a lot of these first-round pick swaps, these second-round picks, like how valuable will they really be, considering the fact that, hey, we have Luka Doncic who's going to keep this team at least a 500 team, like past LeBron's time, past all these players' times. So I'm very intrigued. And half an hour until the deadline, Hunter, it's getting a little bit, I'm getting a little bit uneasy that even if they don't make another move, I'm still going to be happy with the outcome here. But I do think that they pull off Day'Ron Sharpe. Surely the Nets trade Day'Ron Sharpe. They've been talking about it for nonstop for the past 72 hours here. Also, if you're in here, shout out to over 600 of you in here. Let's try to get to 100 likes. We're at 64. Hit the like button if you haven't already, and the subscribe button as well. I think we're close to 10,000. I don't know the exact number, but support's been crazy. But yeah, I'm all in here. Let's just add one more final piece. I'm happy either way with Rob Pelinka and his offseason, but I do think they're actively on the phones, and a lot of these trades are probably going to trickle in over the next little bit here. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is really interesting, Nick. But I guess looking at what the Lakers' outlook is here, what I do really appreciate them doing is they're not just like settling after post Luka Doncic trade. Like, I know he's young. I know they're gonna have a long championship window. You hope like a 10-year window with this guy, but at the same time, like the clock starts now. He is right now one of the 3 to 5 best players in the NBA. I don't really think there's a whole lot of debate. I don't think it's a hot take we're giving here. Like, I think most people can agree that is the level of caliber he is. And oh yeah, LeBron's on this roster too. So I do think that also does increase your urgency, if you will, to go out. And to be fair, they're doing it. So Anthony Irwin even saying here, I mean, this was before the Caleb Martin trade or Cody Martin
Yeah.
trade, so they're both gone. But Josh Okogie, I don't really love that trade. I don't.
It's an
Again, I don't
interesting
think he
one.
shoots the ball. I don't think he shoots the ball well enough.
Does not.
I actually would almost rather just hold out the Maxi Kleba at that point, and maybe see what you can get for him in free agency trade, or even just holding on to him because Luka has played with him and he's a solid shooter. But I do think that the Lakers, you know, as the clock is ticking here, are definitely making calls. They're trying to see what they can get out here. They're not done like what Brian Windhorst is saying right now. Okay, never mind. That was the same trade I just got an update for with the Bogdanovich. Anytime our phone buzzes, guys, I'm looking at it. So if you see me, my eyes glancing down, it's not because I'm trying to like, you know, be texting people left and right. Like we're keeping an eye on everything here. But yeah, it is probably. I'm trying to think. This has to be the craziest deadline I think ever, and definitely Laker history too. I know they've had some crazy deadlines. They got Pau Gasol. That was a trade that no one saw coming. But you know the Lakers made, and of course that helped them win not only 1 but 2 championships, 3 finals appearances with Kobe. They also with Russell Westbrook, they traded him. They got basically a team that helped them get to the Western Conference Finals, losing to the Denver Nuggets. But this is a trade too, where I think this Lakers trade deadline, I mean, by default, is going to go down history as their best. And if they somehow top this down the road, I don't know what that would possibly be.
Yeah, and this has to be the best LeBron starting lineup for the Lakers that he's ever had. I would say for sure. Obviously the Heat, you could probably. I mean, I'm sure I'm seeing some people on Twitter pencil in that this starting lineup on paper is better than the big 3 with the Heat, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with. We're gonna have to see how it plays out. However, with the Lakers for sure now, and I think there's one I still don't love, and I wish I had a screenshot of their depth chart, but I still don't love their. I'm going to keep hammering on it, the Jackson Hayes thing. I know some people are big fans of him. He's played better as of late, but if you have a injury-prone center in Mark Williams, and I think he's going to be healthy, I think he's going to be good, I just don't know if you can, and again, maybe they'll run big lineups or small lineups, sorry, like you've mentioned a lot. I would like to see them get someone who's just a bit more reliable, quite frankly. Daron Sharp would do the job, and I want to actually ask the chat this, because maybe it's just a me thing. Type yes or no. Do you have confidence in Jackson Hayes as your backup center with Mark Williams as your starting? Just yes if you have confidence, no if you don't. Because I'm very curious about this, because I think some people are split. Some people like Jackson Hayes. I think he's an okay like 3rd string center on a championship team, and I think that's about it. He's been forced into the role of a backup center. I feel like there's other players both on the free agency market or the buyout market, I guess it is now, and the trade market that's better. And Hunter, I'm curious. I know we've been talking about it a lot, but I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I just don't have faith in Jackson Hayes as the backup center, but some people do. So it's not that I don't have faith. I just don't know if it's good enough for given the fact that Mark Williams may require some, load management and minute management.
Yeah, definitely. And I always say this too, like always look at what the teams are doing, because obviously there's gonna be rumors, there's always gonna be like GM talk and stuff like that. But just look at the actions that the Lakers have done this season. They got Christian Coloco, they got Trey Jemison, they got Armel Traore, right? These are 3 players that are all big men, and they've tried to make it work. Why? Because they don't trust Jackson Hayes. And that was before the Anthony Davis trade. So Mark Williams, while we're praising the move, we were happy with the move. He's not Anthony Davis. I mean, that's obvious. So if Jackson Hayes, the Lakers weren't confident in him pre-Anthony Davis trade, one of the 3 best big men in the NBA, I don't think this is going to make you more confident. Does he fit Luka Doncic's style a little bit better? Yeah, I would say so. I think he definitely does. But with that being said, the Lakers, I don't think feel very confident. And I'd love to hear your opinion on this too, Nick, because Day'Ron Sharpe isn't actually like the prototypical big that Luka likes to work with, but could he be someone that makes sense for the Lakers? This is a team that has struggled on the glass all season long, and that's with Anthony Davis being one of the best rebounders in the NBA. Day'Ron Sharpe, what he does, his best skill is rebounding the basketball. He's actually more specifically like a really good offensive rebounder too, which the Lakers are one of dead last in the NBA at, toward the bottom in offensive rebound opportunities and second chance points, which JJ Redick has harped on being such an important thing that he wants to see out of this team. That's what Day'Ron Sharpe does. Like, while Mark Williams is more of like, and he does have size to be fair, but he's more of like a springy, kind of big above the rim. Like Day'Ron Sharpe, he's like a fullback, like in NFL terms. Like this dude is big,
and you can see his stats on the screen.
Like, yeah, like he's not super tall, doesn't have a super long reach and wingspan, but he is big and physical, right? He's going to beat you up inside. He's going to crash the glass. He's going to get you second chance opportunities. And I think just because, weirdly enough, Brooklyn's had a very logjam at that position, just kind of three guys who are kind of all like similar caliber-ish kind of players, though Nick Claxton's definitely the best one. Day'Ron Sharpe, I think, if he had a more defined, distinct role, and similar to Mark Williams, I believe he's about 23 years old. So this is a young player, going to be a restricted free agent this season. So the Lakers can potentially sign and trade him if they don't like him, or they can instead sign him, give him maybe a fairly solid contract. And now you feel so much more confident with if trading for Day'Ron Sharpe as your backup big compared to if the Lakers traded for him, didn't get Mark Williams, and perhaps he'd be your starter. So a backup or a center duo of Mark Williams, Day'Ron Sharpe, and oh yeah, you just got Luka Doncic. I think for me, that would be a massive, like, this is one of the best trade deadlines. You can argue it is already, but this is one of the best trade deadlines for any team in NBA history if they are able to pull that off.
Yeah, I think you could probably still say it might be the best trade deadline for
any
team,
anyone,
just because of Luka. But I mean, and Mark Williams even. Yeah, I mean, you can see Day'Ron Sharpe's stats here. You mentioned it. He averages almost 3 offensive rebounds a game. And let's keep in mind, I know the stats might not jump off of the table. However, his per 36 is a lot better. He only plays 17 minutes a game. And with the Lakers, he would only have to play 17 or minutes a game or so. Because, again, you have Mark Williams. You can split up sometimes there. Of course, matchup dependent. And I don't know. I absolutely love the idea of Day'Ron Sharpe. We've both been on it. The question is, do they have enough assets now at this point to actually get Day'Ron Sharpe, given what they have left here? I think, you could probably get it done, salary filler, whatever it is, second round pick, and then maybe one swap. I don't know necessarily how valuable those swaps are at this point. You'd have to assume the Nets are going to be a worse team than the Lakers. That being said, you never know what happens. But again, the swaps are only 2026 and 2028. It's not like there's a swap super far down the line that would be maybe a bit more valuable, because the Luka, funny enough, getting Luka Doncic, like we've mentioned, lowers the value of a lot of their second round picks, their first round picks, which is a good problem to have here. And I know it's a calm before the storm. We're less than 30 minutes away from the Los Angeles Lakers, or I guess all the teams in the deadline wrapping up here in what has been the craziest deadline in NBA history. I think that's fair to say now. I mean, we saw De'Aaron Fox, Mark Williams, Luka Doncic. I'm missing a bunch. Zach LaVine got traded. Go ahead.
No, I was just going off your points. I mean, Jimmy Butler, we just saw got traded last night.
Well.
And that whole saga is now over. Ingram, I mean, it didn't happen, but there were rumors Kevin Durant was gonna get moved. Like, it really seemed like nobody was safe in the end. And who knows, Les? It's under 30 minutes away. Like, there still could be a massive trade out there, Lakers or not. But going off the Day'Ron Sharpe point and the Brooklyn Nets point here, I think a lot of teams, this is a very copycat business, the NBA. Like, teams kind of look at what are the best teams in the NBA doing right now. Something that the Celtics did over the course of time, as well as what the Oklahoma City Thunder have done, is acquire draft picks and try to, take on bad contracts. That's more of a Thunder thing. Like, take on the bad contracts, get a ton of draft picks back, and hope that, in terms of an NBA draft, guys, like, I'm a big college basketball guy too. I love projecting how guys are going to do. Like, it's a total guessing game. Like, you're throwing darts at a dartboard and just hoping something sticks. But if you have more darts to throw at the board, you're more likely to land somebody that is going to be really good. The Nets don't have a great drafting history. So perhaps that might be a bit of a concern. Like, the Thunder draft extremely well. The Celtics have obviously drafted really well. But at the same time, though, a second round pick this year is pretty good. And here's the thing too. The Lakers have a history. This is why I don't care about trading the second round pick. So many teams end up getting so many picks that they end up like they can't afford to draft all the players. So they end up just trading the picks just for like cash consideration. The Lakers have bought their way into the second round before, and they've drafted good guys. Max Christie, that's how they got him. That's how they got Taylor Horton Tucker. I know he did not work out for the Lakers.
He had a
but that's
little
how they got
stretch where
him.
he thought he was going to be good.
Yeah, he had a nice little like Houston Rockets series in the playoffs. And you're like, oh, okay, like this could be something. And then they also ended up getting Jordan Clarkson that way, dating back to like 2014, is they ended up buying him from the Washington Wizards. So you can get value, and something that does get lost because the Lakers just they don't draft and develop, but they are really good at drafting, especially late in drafts. Like they drafted Josh Hart. They drafted Larry Nance Jr. Like they have gone out of their way and drafted guys late in the draft that have ended up being like really good players just on other teams. So, the Lakers here, now that Luka Doncic are building around 25-year-old, perhaps they will maybe lean a little bit more into drafting and developing, or, you draft and develop and you just get better assets in return. So either way, guys, being able to draft, getting second round picks is not very hard in this league. It is something that comes pretty easy, and that's why I'm less concerned giving up a second round pick and maybe even pick swaps to like the Brooklyn Nets to get a guy like Day'Ron Sharpe, because Day'Ron's going to help you right now and you can get a second round pick back pretty easily.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's a world where Rob Pelinka would balk at a trade for any remotely decent center for their second round pick. I just don't think that it's going to be. I think Rob Pelinka's not necessarily all in when it comes to. I mean, he's all in clearly for this season as well. People are talking in the chat about getting rid of the $7 million off the books. We can buy out anyone in the market. It's going to be interesting to see if they open up a bit more money to, activate that and be able to buy out some more players. I think we're going to have to wait and see who's available in the buyout market to completely evaluate. I mean, we've heard some rumors, like you mentioned, Torrey Craig, Lonnie Walker, people are throwing back out there as well. Like, there's going to be a lot of guys over the next little bit surrounding the buyout market. But let's also not forget, the Lakers aren't the only team who are going to be looking into these buyout players. So there's going to be some competition. However, if you're a buyout player and you want to maybe go for your next contract and play alongside some great players, I don't know if there's anyone better than LeBron and Luka Doncic in the world to play next to you to elevate your value, which is something that is also going to, I think, come into effect this upcoming offseason when the Lakers try to make more moves, whether that be free agency signings, trades, getting people in. It's the Lakers. Free agents always come here, but to play alongside Luka and LeBron, I can guarantee you there's a long line of players who would love to do that.
Yeah, no, you're definitely not wrong. I mean, people love living in Los Angeles. All these players live out on the West Coast in LA during the offseason anyway. Many of them have houses or condos, apartments, like whatever it might be. So usually getting real estate isn't too much of a concern for them. But what I will say, though, that is, as my phone keeps going off here, just checking to see if we get any updates regarding the Lakers or any sort of trade updates here. But I will say with the Los Angeles Lakers here, I mean, obviously their window is now. They've clearly sent that message. Like they're not punting away this season. I think that's something that people were wondering after trading Luka, because you really have to reshape the roster now. Clearly they're not doing that. Like they're clearly are all in. The Lakers are 5th in the Western Conference right now, right? This is a team that I think you could safely say is kind of overachieved with JJ Redick there. I mean, I don't think people thought the Lakers were going to be, kind of firmly in the 5th spot right now. I think people thought they would be like these teams like the Warriors and the Suns, like you're seeing in our ticker down below. A team that'd be fighting for a playing spot like they have been. I mean, Nick, the Lakers have not outright made the playoffs as a top 6 seed without, having to go through the play-in tournament since it started, right? The last time they would have hypothetically missed it was when they won the championship in 2020, which was 5 years ago at this point. So they're pretty far removed from that. So the fact that they have a chance here now to be a team that can make it into there, they could potentially get a home court series as well. I mean, it's the crazy thing too, is that we have no idea how this team's going to look tonight's going to be a little
Saturday,
different.
probably.
But on Saturday, when Mark Williams, I think, will almost definitely be playing.
Hopefully.
And then that's probably going to be the Luka Doncic.
It is, yeah.
Well,
I think,
yeah, it seems like that's going to be it. I mean, I don't think ESPN's getting the rights to that game if they don't think it's going to happen or they have some sort of insight. They know more than we do. So that's kind of really where we're going to see it, right? Because sometimes, like, if you want to date back to that championship team as well, like it clicked right away with LeBron, Anthony Davis, and that squad. Like it clicked immediately. They were dominant right out the gates. There was no like, oh, might take a while, like it did with the Heat or even with the Cavs. Like, nope, they were good right away. They went to the NBA championship and they won. So like, Who's to say that can't happen? We just don't know. And that's kind of what's the most intriguing and exciting part about this is like how this is all play out on the basketball court.
I'm all in. I think they're going to make a great run this season. Are they championship favorites? They're getting pretty close. If you guys saw the updated odds, they are fourth. The betting odds have the Lakers as fourth best, I guess, to win the NBA championship this season. Now, betting odds don't necessarily mean anything, but when you're talking about what they can do with their starting lineup, and I mean, we are now, again, 20 minutes away. I feel like it's a bit the calm before the storm right now a little bit because obviously we just had that Bogdan trade. I feel like something is in the works for not only the Lakers, but I think a lot of different teams right now. Something is in the works here. And as you look, I'm going to grab this up here. And shout out to LBJ Center who made this screenshot. So you look at the starting lineup and you look at the bench. And we can start to think about what kind of moves. Interrupt me if there's a trade as well. Don't if there's a trade.
There's a minor one. I don't think it affects much. Jam saying that the Hawks are trading Cody Zeller and Houston's 2020 second round pick to the Rockets.
Interesting. The Lakers, I saw some people in the chat saying Cody Zeller.
Really? Okay.
Like
yeah,
few,
so
it could have been an option. The funny thing about that is, like, that could have been a deal the Lakers could have done. A second round pick. Maybe they value the 2028 second round pick more, sure. But that's a deal the Lakers could have done. I don't know if we would have wanted necessarily Cody Zeller, but in case you guys miss it, I'll drag that up here. It's a backup center. So it's that, and the Hawks are active. Multiple moves here. So they get another second round pick. They just sent 3 out to LA. Cody Zeller, who's actually, an interesting backup big, goes to the Rockets. Good pickup for them. I mean, they get a backup serviceable big man.
Cody Zeller also can kind of shoot the ball a little bit too. So he's definitely different than what the Lakers have with a Mark Williams and a Jackson Hayes, and something different that I guess Alperen Sengun can shoot the ball too. But it is interesting though, because we have talked about the possibility of like a Steven Adams deal to LA. Now it's a little tough because I don't know if the Rockets are going to particularly want to trade him to the Lakers, because that's someone they're contending with right now. But the Lakers gave him a really good offer. I mean, could that potentially be the last move that the Lakers make? Because I mean, if you have Mark Williams and Steven Adams as your front line, like that is a vicious front line. Like you are going to get beat up every single time you go to the basket, bare minimum, with those two guys there.
Yeah, it's a very interesting trade. Very, very interesting trade. He's an interesting player. Very interesting player. Only 32 years old. I feel like he's been in the league forever. I feel like he's been in the league
he kind of has, I guess. I'm trying to think. It's I want to say 2013 was the year.
It was. He was the 4th overall pick.
Him and Victor Oladipo were kind of like that guard center duo at Indiana University.
He hasn't even played a game this season, which is interesting.
Cody Zeller hasn't really.
Or maybe, at least not for the Hawks.
Interesting. I mean, they have a really good center duo there in Capella and Okongwu. Again, Clint Capella is also someone I could see getting moved.
He hasn't played this season. He doesn't shoot threes. I think interesting player.
Yeah. I guess Houston, maybe they just want to get an extra depth piece.
Yeah. I'd probably rather Jackson Hayes over Cody Zeller. He was very good for about 5 years straight, and then last year just fell off. And I mean, great asset management by the Hawks. Hasn't played this season at all. So I mean, it's a fine move. But I want to bring up this screenshot again because this is a fun team. So you have Luka, great graphic as well. But Luka, Reeves, LeBron, Dorian, and of course Mark Williams. You have to assume that's the starting lineup. And then you go into the bench right now. You have Gabe Vincent, Shake Milton, Rui Hachimura, Jader Vanderbilt, and of course Jackson Hayes. Do we think, yes or no in the chat, this bench is good enough to compete for a championship? Because I think we all know the starting lineup is championship caliber, but the bench is going to be the thing that is most intriguing to me. We're 15 minutes away from the deadline. Anything that drops will... do you think the bench is good enough in the chat? And of course, Hunter, what do you think about the bench in this case?
This might be a hot take. I'm actually going to say yes. Okay. Here's why. Because Rui Hachimura, or if it's Dorian Finney-Smith, I guess we don't know for a fact. I think DFS fits better in this starting lineup. And JJ Redick did say that he would evaluate the team and kind of change things as he wants.
I think Rui starts Saturday. That's my prediction. But I think ultimately Dorian Finney-Smith will get in there. But when it's all said and done by the playoffs,
I think that's a very, very fair take to make, Nick. But if we're looking at this, right, either way, whether it's Rui or Dorian Finney-Smith in the starting lineup, regardless of that, both of them have proven that they are really good playoff players. Both of them. Dorian Finney-Smith plays very well in the playoffs. Again, also, not only is he a former Luka Doncic teammate, like these guys are extremely close. I mean, Luka said when they traded Dorian Finney-Smith that he wished that he could play with him again. And now here's his opportunity to do that. And then on top of that, too, Rui Hachimura has played really nicely next to LeBron and in this Lakers team. Rui's had a phenomenal stretch with the Lakers. I mean, you talk about the moves Rob Pelinka has made. I mean, you look at that trade deadline a couple years ago, their pre-deadline move was getting Rui Hachimura around the same time of the calendar year that the Lakers got Dorian Finney-Smith this past season. So, and Rui Hachimura went from being like kind of a bust in Washington as a former top 10 pick to becoming one of the best shooters in the league. I mean, he's a top 15 3-point shooter by percentage. And I know he doesn't shoot a ton, but he's shooting a lot more. And he has the mid-range game, and he's really good cutting off the ball. I know he's not a great defender, but perhaps bringing him off the bench could be, that scoring punch that they need. Gabe Vincent, I was calling him Cardio Gabe this year because he basically was out there doing nothing, but it seems like he's kind of found his role now. He's a good, pesky defender. He's been shooting the 3 ball extremely well as of late since like December. So now it's a big enough sample size where you're like, okay. Also someone who plays well in the playoffs. And then Jared Vanderbilt, if he's able to stay healthy, which I'm going to knock on wood, guys, because this has kind of been the MO with Vanderbilt during his time in LA. This dude is a legitimate all NBA type of defender. Like that is the level he plays at. And you've seen even him in the short time coming back for the Lakers. Like the man is just all hustle, right? He's like not the same player at all, guys. Not as good, but he's like their Josh Hart on this Lakers team, right? The dude plays, he's all over the place. He can legitimately in a pinch guard positions 1 through 5. He rebounds at extremely high level. Especially on the offensive glass. He's diving for loose balls. He's keeping plays alive. He's also, if they use him more as an off-ball screener, which I was screaming at Darvin Ham to use him that way, he's a really good in a short pick and roll passer, right? He knows how to find guys in the corner. He can find guys off a cut.
Schroeder
here.
is sent
we
to,
also have a new trade
to Detroit. So Dennis Schroeder, we were talking about it. He gets sent to Detroit from Utah. So obviously didn't make sense with the Lakers. Also doesn't fit well in an undersized guard who doesn't play great defense. However, interesting. Detroit now, decent team. I don't hate the pickup for them. You get a veteran. I mean, that's his like 8th team. It can compete for a play-in spot, playoff spot. Do you have any thoughts on this trade? Again, none of this direct, no Lakers ones yet. I think we're inching closer and closer, 13 minutes away. Hopefully Rob picks up the phone. But also, none of the targets we've been talking about are off the board yet. Day'Ron Sharpe is still available. A lot of these guys, interesting trade.
Yeah, I think Dennis Schroeder made more sense pre-Luka Doncic trade, right? Someone who, when the Lakers lost D'Angelo Russell, right, it was like, all right, can they find like another playmaking guard to come off the bench and really do that for you? But getting Luka Doncic, like, you're gonna have LeBron or Luka on the court at all times. So like
exactly.
that you don't need, and you have Austin Reaves. Like that's not needed anymore for this Lakers team. And the way JJ Redick wants to play defense, and Gabe Vincent, I think his ability to play off the ball is really good. And that's why Dennis struggled with Golden State, because there's so much off the ball movement and running off screens and everything. Like Dennis is just never a good fit there. Although he was a good player for the Lakers. So I understand why people wanted him back, but I think once the Luka trade happened, it just really did not make a whole lot of sense. And Gabe Vincent also, to his credit, again, I've always been calling him Cardio Gabe. You guys been watching our channel for a while. I've given him a lot of slack for the lack of ability. And he's been playing really well for the Lakers. And I actually think, I know he's not, he's a shorter guard. He's not super athletic, but the dude plays good defense. He's a dog. And I think he's somebody who, with so many really good guards in the Western Conference, like you got John Morant, you got, Devin Booker's, Steph Curry's, De'Aaron Fox now with the not the Kings, from the Kings to the San Antonio Spurs. Like you need someone who can kind of keep up with them, some more quick-footed players. And Gabe Vincent does do that for you. So that is a positive defender that the Lakers currently have. And I think he can help you in the playoffs this year.
I want to ask the chat this while we are 10 minutes away from the deadline here. So the calm before the storm either way. And I'll ask you as well. We've having discussions about it off camera. Does Austin Reaves get moved to the bench when, let's say, when all things are said and done in a couple weeks, when the team is starting to roll after, the All-Star break, all these different things? Do you think that Austin Reaves ends up being the 6th man for this team? And the reason I asked that, in chat, just type yes or no. Do you think Austin Reaves is eventually going to get moved to the bench? Guys, you'll hit 10K on stream. Is that the case? I'll get a sub counter up here in a minute. Hunter, if you want to check, I can actually grab it as well. Because I asked this question for the reason of, we're about probably not on stream. We're about 350 away, but we're getting closer.
We're getting there.
Closer.
We're getting there. Maybe end of the day, guys. Can we do that?
End of the day. Because you talk about offense, and obviously the team is great offensively. Do you think they want to slide into that 2-guard spot, assuming they don't trade for one in the next 10 minutes? A guy that is more defensive minded. I mean, even sliding Vando in there, you'd obviously be playing big. Vando's a great defender. I mean, I'm seeing some people talk about Gabe Vincent. You slide him into the starting lineup to get some more defense, especially if he's playing well. Is that something that the team, I think JJ Redick highly considers it. It also makes your bench deeper because then you have Austin Reaves playing alongside Rui Hachimura, which he's done all season long as the starting point guard. Like the chemistry and the synergy there makes some sense. However, the question is, will that, affect his usage? Because obviously, I think the bench could use Reeves's, playmaking and scoring, especially if, they're going to be with Luka in the starting lineup.
So I totally see the arguments, right? I don't think the Lakers ideally have. I think a player who they don't have right now who would make a ton of sense in the starting lineup would be Bruce Brown. I think he would fit perfectly with what they got going on here. But here's the thing. I think this gets kind of lost a little bit. Austin Reeves is really good. The man has had a phenomenal season with the Los Angeles Lakers. He's had by far his best year with the Lakers, and he's an extremely versatile player, right? And he's not somebody like a LeBron or Luka Doncic who walked into the NBA with these extremely high expectations, has been the star player their entire lives. Like, that is not Austin Reeves' journey and story, right? He has played off of star players his entire time in Los Angeles. He worked from being an undrafted rookie to being now, one of the key focal points for the Lakers, unless something absolutely crazy happens here. But there's a reason why the Lakers, the rumors were they wouldn't trade him for De'Aaron Fox. Like, they really believe that Austin Reeves is this caliber of player. And more importantly, he plays well next to LeBron James. I think Austin is a player who could play well next to anybody. And I understand the defensive concerns, perhaps. I don't think he's nearly as bad of a defender as people think. I think he's been asked to do a lot more defensively that is probably a little bit unfair to him. And I just don't think the Lakers have a perfect solution right now. I mean, look, maybe Gabe Vincent does make sense. But for me, I don't want to take minutes away from Austin Reeves. He's the third best player on this Laker team still. He's still the guy to me that if you want to run him more with the second unit and stagger the minutes and get creative that way, I think that's totally fine. The Lakers and every team in the NBA does that with their star players. They stagger the minutes and make sure certain guys are on the court at the same time. But Austin Reeves can play off the ball really well, too, as a secondary playmaker. He's an extremely versatile offensive player. I guess we'll see the defensive concerns, but I think having Dorian Finney-Smith instead in that starting lineup with Mark Williams, to me, I think that's definitely going to make Austin's life a lot easier. But I do think, getting another defensive-minded guard would not be a bad thing, whether that's a starter or not.
Yeah. And they could also, there's also a world where they move him to the bench and play him similar minutes. Granted, again, I don't know if it's going to be tough though, because you now have to split. There's a world where, they're splitting a lot of, JJ Redick's job is not going to be easy, but it's obviously a lot. You have a higher, ceiling for this team now, and it's going to be really good to see. It's, I think I tend to agree with you. I think they'll probably keep him in the starting lineup. He's developed so well. See how he fits along Luka. I think ultimately they just play him alongside Luka, see how he does, and go from there. And let's also not forget, I know some people are talking about how Reeves would be a great, bench, could help run that bench. There's not many minutes that are going to go by where one of Luka or LeBron aren't on the floor anyway, and both of those guys are capable of running, the point guard spot, or I guess for LeBron, the point forward spot. You could argue Luka point forward as well. He's pretty tall. So I think ultimately they're going to play it by air. I think the starting lineup up top is what it will be come playoff time. I think on Saturday and for the next couple of weeks, you switch Rui and you switch DFS, and then you go from there. DFS has been coming off the bench, but I think they're going to choose come playoff time to have Dorian Finney-Smith's defense in the starting lineup there. And I really hope Jared Vanderbilt remains healthy, because if you remove Jared Vanderbilt from this bench, their defense is it's a little bit suspect there regarding point of attack defenders. Even their starting lineup they have, I guess, Austin Reeves is, assuming Rui's in the starting lineup, Austin Reeves is really the only good point of attack defender at this point of their careers here. And they don't have many point of attack defenders in general. That's the one thing alongside a backup center. But let's say you're good with Jackson Hayes and you think he's a fine backup center. You still need, in my eyes at least, a good defender off of the bench here to help. You can't rely all of it on Jared Vanderbilt. He's only going to get a certain amount of minutes per game, and foul trouble happens and all those things. Or you can rely on Gabe Vincent to continue to, be a good, hopefully decent defender.
Yeah, I do think that, and also too, like Jared Vanderbilt's on minutes restriction right
Yep.
now. Will that be lifted by the end of the season? You would think so. But that's why I don't think he'll be in the starting lineup at least right now. I mean, maybe come playoff time, they see something, a specific matchup, like like Vando might make sense. I mean, we've seen teams, when you're in a playoff series with a team, there's just certain things that will work better than others. I think a good example is you look at the 2020 championship team, right? There was a series where Dwight Howard, who came off the bench pretty much his entire season with the Lakers that year, he ended up starting because he fit was a better matchup than JaVale McGee against Nikola Jokic. We saw when you remember Houston had that super small ball lineup. They started PJ Tucker at the 5. Well, they ended up playing Anthony Davis at the 5, and they slotted in Markieff Morris at the 4, right? So to have options, I think, is ideally what you want.
Also, just to
Oh my
clarify,
God.
I'm not saying that Austin Reeves is a
Whoa.
good point of attack defender. I'm saying in a starting lineup with Rui Hachimura in the starting lineup, he's probably one of the better. Is this Lakers?
No, but this is a pretty big trade. The Memphis Grizzlies, according to Shams, are trading Marcus Smart and a 2025 first round pick to the Washington Wizards in a multi-team trade
Multi-team
that
deal.
sends 2 second-round picks to Memphis. Sources tell ESPN the Memphis Grizzlies create roster flexibility with the move. I guess we'll see what else is going to come from this. But that was somebody too who we've talked about here on Lakers Digest could potentially make sense in Marcus Smart, but clearly that's probably not going to happen as he's going to
Okay, that's a
the
target off of the
Washington
board.
Wizards.
Wasn't
Yeah.
really realistic because once they made the Mark Williams trade, became a lot less likely because that first round pick was
Yes,
gone.
but
But would have been a good fit. Okay, so let me see this trade fully here. So the Grizzlies they're giving up a first round pick.
yep.
Interesting. Bad deal by Memphis in the to get Marcus Smart in the first place then, but it's didn't work out well for them. The Wizards get a bunch of things going on here. These tweets are like hard to read when there's this much text and there's this much like trade picks going in and out. Lakers, yeah,
We
okay.
have another trade here
All right,
too.
we're 4 minutes away, guys. It's starting to heat up. If you're new here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. The craziest trade deadline. The Clippers make another trade to the Bucks. The Bucks finally find a taker for Merjon Beauchamp after months of searching, preseason searching. The Lakers finally get a taker for Merjon. Kevin Porter Jr. goes to the Bucks for Merjon Beauchamp. Very interesting trade.
Yeah, I guess this is 2 teams trading guys that they don't want.
Exactly
Well,
that.
what's your thoughts, Nick? Because I know you cover the Bucks for Bucks Digest, our brother company here, or brother channel. So are you good with this trade? With what the Bucks have done, getting
Yeah,
Kuzma, shipping away
it's
Middleton.
It's weird. Also, for everybody in chat, I am a Lakers fan. I'm not a Bucks fan. Just to clarify that as well.
He helps out with the
I
Bucks.
help
He
out with the
helps out with the
Bucks. I'm
Bucks.
not a Bucks fan by any means. They've had a pretty bad trade deadline. I mean, Kuzma's okay. This trade does nothing for me. At least they finally got off of Merjon Beauchamp. I mean, it doesn't move the needle at all. I think the Bucks are in a very bad spot. Luckily,
Yeah.
I'm not a Bucks fan, so I don't really care. But it's a regarding covering them, it's been kind of disastrous.
Yeah, and that's interesting too. I've heard this theory floated around a bit. When Giannis potentially comes a free agent, if it's the post LeBron era, does he decide to team up with Luka and come to Los Angeles? Because you talk about 2 guys that would mesh really well together. That would work.
Bring
With
Giannis
Luka and
home.
Giannis.
Well,
Bring
not
him
really
home.
home. But bring him home to LA, I guess. Definitely not his home. But bring him home there. Very interesting
Can
trade.
be.
Can we see the
We'll take him.
Lakers? Can we see the Lakers maybe come in here with a bomb? I wouldn't mind that. An absolute
Yeah, and
just
also guys too, even when 3 o'clock hits, there still is like things getting finalized and stuff like that. So definitely stick around after a couple minutes here when the deadline is over because we still be getting some more moves. That means things might be trickling in. There might be a report that comes in at like 3:05 or
yeah, we'll be
12:05
live
wherever you're watching.
for after 4:30,
So
which is or
just
3 p.m.,
keep
which
that
is
in mind too.
1 minute from now. Lifeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt, definitely not a I'm pretty far from a Bucks fan there, but shout out to the Bucks. At least they're in the Eastern Conference. They're shout out to the Bucks because maybe we'll get Giannis. Maybe the Lakers will all get
Yeah.
Giannis in
Yeah,
return.
we should
here.
be rooting for the Bucks to do bad.
Yes.
So the Lakers can, Giannis will change his mind and want to go somewhere else.
And this trade doesn't move me. The Kevin Porter Jr. one. We are now 1 minute away from the trade
Man.
deadline. 1 minute. Deals are going to trickle in. We haven't heard the classic tweet saying the Lakers are done with
No,
with
they're
moves
trying.
yet. So they're trying to get moves
Trying.
done. Shout out to the 800 in here. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. Multiple Lakers videos a day, keeping you guys up to date. We're close to 10,000. Also hit the like button as well. Try to get the 150 likes. This is the time now where we're all just refreshing.
Yeah. And guys too, the amount of support that we've gotten on this channel, whether it's your first time watching, one of your first times, or you've been with us since the beginning. I mean, we reached 5,000 subscribers.
On the Luka trade.
Yeah, we reached 5,000, I think, on January 26th, the 5-year anniversary of Kobe's passing. So the fact that we got, 5K, 5 years ago on that anniversary, and since then we've almost doubled that.
About to get to 5
Is
again.
pretty wild.
Yeah. Shout out to
Pretty
each and every
wild.
one of you in here. And hopefully you guys will stick along for the rest of the season, because there's going to be, the content's not going to stop. It's going to be more content than ever, really. Obviously the deadline is the craziest part when it comes to videos, but post-game videos, there's going to be more live streams as well. So hit the subscribe button. Okay.
Yeah.
The deadline is hit. The deadline is hit.
Yep. So deadline is officially done, but like we said, guys, it does not mean that trades and and reports can't trickle in. So we're definitely gonna wait it out here for a few minutes, and kind of see what comes in between now and then. But either way, obviously we would love to see the Lakers get a last-second acquisition. But again, because of the Mark Williams trade where they sent out a 2-for-1, both Dalton, Knecht, and Cam Reddish, that does open up a roster spot. So again, guys, let us know, maybe some guys that you think the Lakers can get on the buyout market. We don't know fully what it is yet, but
whoa, not what?
You're looking at this Wiseman trade?
Yeah, not I have some friends who are Raptors fans, not Lakers related. Interesting. Kind of love that for the Raptors, actually.
Yeah,
They get
so
an upside
they are...
play in James Wiseman here to help. Hopefully, he hasn't been great. Watch alongs, Tillin, there will be some watch alongs going on. They're obviously longer streams, but we'll definitely fit in some watch alongs. Thinking about doing some more post game streams as well, following the game. So there's going to be a lot of stuff there. But that's an interesting one. Stuff's going to trickle in. Do you have any thoughts on this trade? Everybody in the chat, yourself included, Hunter. Wiseman is not the player that anybody thought he was going to be, but he's very injury prone. But for the Raptors, you're already a young team. May as well take a flyer on. The season before, last year he played 63 games for Detroit, averaged 7 points a game. I don't hate it. I don't hate the move for the Raptors.
Yeah, I am very intrigued, and I would love to know what Ben Rogers thinks on Raptors Digest as well. Like what he thinks. The Raptors have kind of been buyers a little bit at the deadline.
Oh yeah, they got Brandon Ingram.
What I saw, they got Brandon Ingram, a former Laker, and then they also just got James Wiseman here. So clearly they're valuing size, athleticism.
Well, James Wiseman, Brandon Ingram pairing. Actually, that's kind of. Ooh, I wonder if this means they're going to ship off of Jakob Poeltl. I'm not saying James Wiseman's a starting center right now, but I'm curious to see if there's any other moves trickling in here.
He's had a great season for the Raptors too. It's kind of one of the bright spots for them, and they're playing a little bit better recently too. Like this, they definitely are not like Washington Wizards bad or Utah Jazz bad. Like this is they got some young pieces there. Scotty Barnes made the All-Star team last year. I like Emmanuel quickly. Grady Dick's had a great year for them. Masai Ujiri, he's built championship teams there before. He's built successful teams with the Raptors. Like I know he knows what he's doing. So I do wonder what the long-term vision is here for the Raptors. And definitely if you guys are interested in that, Ben does a great job of Raptors Digest, so you can definitely tune in there too. But yeah, interesting by Toronto here.
Yeah, I like it. I like the moves. What is going on? My Twitter is bugging. Let me know if you okay. No, I'm just still the Pacers trade. Again, moves can still happen right now, so we're gonna hold the line. Yeah, he did tear his ACL, but he is hopefully back healthy and is gonna always want players to be healthy.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially a young player like him. I still think he has a ceiling that is reasonable here.
Yeah, he definitely, not going to be like what he was projected to be at the number 2 overall pick. At that point, guys, you got throw those expectations probably out the window. But can he be a serviceable big? He is someone who's mobile, has a ton of size. He's athletic. Maybe some of that has kind of waned because of the injury history he has. But eventually you gotta kind of reestablish yourself. I think a really good example of this is like Jalen Suggs for the Orlando Magic. He was a top 5 pick, someone who I think we all thought would be like a really good 2-way guard in this league. But he's kind of, and I know I mentioned it before, but he's like the Orlando version of Josh Hart. Like he's kind of someone who does like to do it all NBA defensive kind of player. Hustle, grit guy. Like you do need those guys to win championships. So I think James Wiseman just like kind of needs to think of a way to reinvent himself, and he'll have a chance with a young team there that fits more of his timeline in the Toronto Raptors.
I do believe the Lakers are done making moves. I see people in chat saying it. I've seen it from a couple of people. I haven't seen a reporter say it yet, but it does seem like the Lakers are done making moves. What reporter said that? I know the chat's saying it. I can't find it, but I'm sure.
Yeah, we're trying to look through.
There's so
I got
much.
notifications on a lot of guys. To obviously see what's going on.
If that's the
Miles.
case, A plus 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 off season or trade deadline. Sorry,
Yeah. Miles Turner. Also.
traded.
No. But he did tweet out this funny like Survivor.
He survived it.
That was someone who I think not only the Lakers, a lot of teams are kind of curious about. But at the same time, I do kind of wonder, like, are they going to keep him around the Pacers because he's a free agent this upcoming season? But so that could potentially be a big L if he ends up walking for nothing if you're the Pacers. But yeah, it's been a crazy 24 hours and plus,
Absurd.
Nick, for not only us who cover the Lakers, but you guys as fans. Like, like we root for this team too. So like we're going through the same emotions that you guys are going through. I'm glad that we have, hundreds of you guys in here, that want to kind of, recoup. Let's talk, sharing of the
So much to
minds
talk
and
about. The
really go
vibes
through
are
everything.
great, even without a move, assuming they're done. However, still going to hold on a little bit longer because there's I'm very surprised they kept Maxi Kleber. I really thought they were going to get a one more deal done here, but I mean, got to be
They might
happy.
have tried. It doesn't help that he's under contract for another year. It doesn't help that he, is recovering from, a pretty significant surgery he just had on a fractured foot. There is a small chance he's back this season. I know he hasn't been ruled out for the year yet. Although I wouldn't bet on it, Laker fans. We
No,
saw how long it took Jared
maybe
Vanderbilt
next
to
year,
come
and
back.
maybe next year.
But if hypothetically he is back on the team next year, they don't find a deal for him in free agency. Like this is someone who Luka Doncic is very comfortable with. He's a really good shooter. We know LeBron likes to play with those guys. If he's back for another season with the Lakers, someone who can spread the floor. He's very tall. Can switch on the smaller players as well. I think he could be an interesting piece for the Los Angeles Lakers. That doesn't mean you don't move him. It doesn't mean he's untouchable, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if Kleber is on this team.
No, it's not. And one other thing, I think it's pretty much done here. However, some people talking about waiving Maxi Kleber and then going for Bruce Brown, which is interesting. Bruce Brown didn't get traded.
No. So
Assuming he'll get bought out, then he has to be.
Yeah. It's going to cost the Lakers a lot of money to do that. And that's why I kind of wonder if they will, because it's not like Maxi's on an expiring deal. Like he has another year left on the deal. So that's a lot of dead money you're allocating. And there's no guarantee that Bruce Brown would even be back next year. As much as I would like it in theory, and even with buying, Bruce Brown off the market, like there's just a lot of optics there. And I'd actually really need to look up and see like if the Lakers could even pull that off. But yeah, there's just a lot of optics there that I just don't think that would happen, unfortunately.
It's going to be interesting. Rockets are still going to dominate. I mean, ultimately now the transition switches from trades to free agency, or not free agency, buyout market. Trade?
Kind of. So in that Marcus Smart deal, the Sacramento Kings actually got in on this. They're getting Jake LaRavia from Memphis, which he's a pretty solid young player for them. I've always been kind of impressed when watching him. And Sacramento is also sending a second round pick to the Grizzlies, Colby Jones, this is according to Mark Stein, as well as Alex Len to the Wizards, as part of this deal. So I guess after getting Jonas Valanciunas, they did not need Alex Len anymore in Sacramento. Really weird deadline for the Kings, by the way.
Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan reunited.
Yeah. Very, very odd, and strange. But like we said, guys, it looks like, there are some sole survivors here. Robert Williams survives the deadline. Day'Ron Sharpe survives the deadline. Maybe that's a target the Lakers look at in free agency in the summer as a guy like Day'Ron Sharpe, because I think will be available to have.
I agree.
And the Lakers, they still have a second round pick. They still have these things to carry over into next season as well as tradable assets. And now we probably look our attention more to the buyout market. And that's kind of what we're going to be covering next year, guys, is who
A lot
is
of
going to
stuff
be
coming. They play
available.
tonight. The Lakers play tonight, right? So
That's the craziest thing of all of this is that, like, oh yeah, the Lakers also play tonight. They're going to be playing a very shorthanded Warriors team that just got rid of like
everybody.
a ton of players. I doubt Jimmy Butler plays. I don't know if there's a report out there that says he is or isn't playing, but I would assume he doesn't because he got, it was last night. They're coming off a back-to-back, which I just realized too, because they did play last night, the Golden State Warriors. So they're going to be very shorthanded. They do have Steph, so nothing is ever off the table. But the Lakers aren't really going to be shorthanded. They don't have Dalton Knecht, but all the other guys that played in their last game against the Clippers, which they put a beating on the Clippers, they're all going to be there. And the Lakers are, despite all of this, they're actually playing very well recently. They've, I think, won like 9 out of their last 11 games or something like that. Like they've been playing really well. And they play a team in the Warriors where they don't need Mark Williams per se because they're one of the smallest teams in the NBA. So they actually could, get a nice win here to welcome in Luka Doncic again.
Yep. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be keeping you up to date with all the latest news, videos after the games, buyout videos. There's going to be moves coming. Maybe some Lakers waive some players. We're going to keep you up to date. And now the next sights are on Luka Doncic on Saturday with the Los Angeles Lakers. In between, also one quick note. We are at, I'm just going to throw up the subscribe number here. Insane growth over the past week or so. If you're in here right now and you haven't hit the subscribe button and you want to, be at the place for daily Lakers content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're getting close to 10,000, which is crazy because we were at 5,000 a week ago. So if you're in here and you're enjoying the content, multiple videos a day, keeping you guys up to date, let's maybe we can get this number up to 10,000 here very, very soon. And there's over 600 of you in here. If you're not subscribed, hit that button because the content's going to keep coming. It's not going to stop. Buyout videos, like you mentioned, trade videos, live streams, at least weekly live streams, probably some watch-alongs as well. It's going to be the crazy next few months. We have Luka Doncic and Mark Williams. I mean, what are we even, there's going to be infinite things to talk about.
Man, what a time. But yeah, guys, we really do appreciate the support here. Obviously this is an accomplishment for me, Nick, our co-host, Akechi Apakamo is on right now as well. But it takes you guys too. Like this is an us accomplishment. And I'm not just saying that to be cliche. Like there's no subscribers without you guys, the subscribers. So, and this is a challenge only going to keep on growing, guys. We are, and not to pat ourselves in the back here, but I have not seen a single Laker channel put out as much content as we have over the last week plus surrounding all this stuff. And I promise you that's not going to stop here. We're going to give you guys up to date, around the clock coverage surrounding your Lakers. And, that does include tonight because there is a game and hopefully we can talk about a post-game win.
Needs to be a win. Shout out to each and every one of you in here. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, what a crazy week. They got Doncic, they got Mark Williams, they got all these guys, and now let's actually get to see them play in action in a Lakers uniform. And we'll be here every step of the way. So thank you guys for a fantastic stream. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. Fantastic. Your guys' support again. It means the world to Hunter, myself, and of course, Akechi. We'll see you guys for a video later today. We'll see you guys for videos over the next few days, next few weeks, all these different things. Thank you guys very much.